Okay, so like I was saying, when somebody insults you as a child or abuses you as a child, you're able to say no to that person or find someone you could report the matter to. When a child is not confrontational, when a child accepts abuse unconsciously, it becomes a norm to that child. And then, even when that child is being treated wrongly or badly, that child will condone it. Why? Because he or she formed the habit of not revolting or confronting or reporting ills that are done to that child. So, you as a parent, if you observe that your child is that kind of a child whereby a particular wrong is done to that child and that child accepts it, it reduces the esteem of that child. It leads to low self esteem, which is not good. Nobody should be made to feel lesser or lower or feel inferior. No, all of us are made in the image and likeness of God. So if you as a parent observe that your child is depressed, and this leads to depression, most children are depressed, and this happens because of low self-esteem, because of abuse, one insult or the other, either from his peers or his friends, even sometimes unfortunately parents sometimes they do that. So if you observe that your child is depressed, you should find out what is causing the depression, what leads to that depression. You should be able to track his attitude and see, okay, this child is a very vibrant child, but I noticed that recently he or she has been depressed. You should be able to track as a parent, you should be responsible for your child. And so you owe yourself and you owe your child that duty to ensure that you find out what is responsible for that depressive mood. So do not, in fact, you should encourage your children to speak up and to say no when they are being abused, when they are being insulted by whomever. They should not accept it. But when they keep quiet and they accept it unconsciously to them, and in fact consciously, unconsciously, it becomes like a norm to them. It becomes like a status, a standard, and so they might begin to see that insult is a norm, and they accept it. You know, abuse is a norm, and they accept it, which is not. So you should watch out for these things in your children. And if there are other traits you observe, I might not be able to cover up every single trait, but if there are other traits that you observe in your child that is detrimental to that child or is negative to that child, then you as a parent should begin to do something about it. Do something about it. Don't just let it be. No. Do something, and then you see that that issue has been resolved. And you can see it resolved at the time when, if for instance, the child is a very fearful child, he or she is no longer fearful, but is now bold and fearless. That issue has been resolved in that child's life. If your child has been a child that doesn't confront people and begins to do that, then that issue has been resolved, and that leads to better development of that child. Children develop in several stages, and when they have these negative traits and you do nothing about it, it affects their development. So ensure that your children are perfectly developed. If God has given you a child as a gift from God, do not allow anything steal that gift, in the sense that reduces their psychic or make them feel less than they are. No, you should not condone it as a parent. So look out for your children. Look out for the traits they see. Look out for their weaknesses, and then do something to correct it. Because if you don't correct it, it's going to go a very long way to affect them all through their lives. All through their lives. I remember when I was very young, I think boldness was one thing that I lacked, especially when it came to relating to people. I remember a certain time one of our neighbor insulted me, you know, and then I ran, came back to the home and told my mom somebody insulted me, and she said, "Go back and insult that person." Didn't I beat the person? What I did the person? I did nothing. you know. She was so offended. She said, why didn't you hit the person back? Why didn't I insult the person back? And that was because I, as a person, I'm not a very, from childhood, I've never been a very confrontational person. But I had to, with time, learn how to do that, because if you're not confrontational, people will take you for a ride and so many things will go under the carpet. So this is basically for parents to be at alert for their children, because a child develops in different stages, and all this have a way of affecting a child's development. You might say it's just psychological, but it affects the child also emotionally. It affects the child academically. Anything that affects the child all round. So that is why if you see a negative trait in your child, you should do something about it to correct it. Don't ignore it, don't neglect it. Do something until you see a turnaround in that child. So I hope we've learned a thing or two from this. And when your child does very well, it gives you joy that yes, my child is developing very well, my child is doing well academically, my child can express herself boldly. Because in life, you won't be there forever with them. They need to be able to stand on their 2 feet. So everything you do for them is for them to be able to achieve independence. And they need boldness for independence. They need fearlessness for independence. They need sound mind for independence. So anything that tends to, you notice, is beginning to cause a downside in their independence, or in their independent trying to speak English now, that brings a downside to them being independent, you as a person should do something. You as a parent should do something about it. So I hope to see us in another video. Bye.